take us.
Debbie, so try again, but remember what happened last time.
Yes, as we all know, Steve Barclay has now been appointed as Health Secretary. And I just want to remind people that a Health Secretary's responsibilities, they include financial control of NHS delivery, overseeing social care policies, responsibility for mental health and championing patient safety. So it's a big responsibility. And we can see that Steve Barclay has been in the position of Health Secretary before. And he didn't come off very well because a member of the public confronted him about all sorts of ambulance delays, and he was completely out of his depth. And I just want to remind people who we have now at the top of our health service. So Steve Barclay is actually a solicitor, which doesn't really bode well, does it? But he started out, where I might be interested, in the Fusiliers. He's Sandhurst. He's been a health minister a number of times, neither time very successfully, because I personally don't really remember him in the post. Langdor, he's been a government whip. But before his political days, and I think this is what's really interesting, is that the clue's in the name. He used to work for AXA Insurance. That raises a few alarm bells to me. He was also Director of Regulatory Affairs and headed the Anti-Money Laundering and Sanctions Department at Barclays Bank. So I'm not quite sure where Therese Coffey's ABCD is going to go, but I'm a bit worried that with public spending cuts imminent, the NHS cannot afford to lose any more money.
Yeah, but we've also got a little bit of the revolving door of people going through the banking industry and then into the political jobs. And of course, Rishi Sunak is one of the same. So it's getting very hard to tell where allegiances lie. Do they lie to the NHS in this example, or the public, or do we have people who actually are more interested in how big money is managed through the world?
But Debbie, let's move on to the NHS itself and the chaos around it. Is Steve Barclay going to fix it?
No, I don't see how he can possibly fix it. The NHS is in an absolute mess, and Jeremy Hunt has already been ordered by the BMA to include the NHS big time and not to make any cuts in his fiscal statement, which we know, of course, now has been delayed. So everything's up in the air. But interestingly, you'll see there on the right-hand side, Amanda Pritchard, who's the CEO of NHS England, was in a closed meeting and was overheard as saying that the financial crisis is an effing nightmare. And she warned that soaring inflation is going to cost the health service an extra 7 billion next year. Well, I can't see that happening, to be quite honest. There's going to be obviously cuts in public spending. The NHS is falling apart. Staff are leaving in their droves. There's a huge recruitment campaign going on now within the NHS. And you can see there that they're launching a recruitment drive for tens of thousands of nurses and record staff vacancies. And they're pretty much recruiting for everyone and anyone. We've got 40,000 nurses that have just left or just leaving the NHS now. We've got a recruitment drive that's going on at the moment, like big time. They are desperate, literally desperate for staff. We've got staff shortages everywhere: ambulance staff, nursing staff, porters, you name it, 999 staff, absolutely everything. And then on top of that, we've got strikes looming within the NHS. So we've got pretty much everybody within the NHS is threatening to strike: nurses, doctors, consultants, ambulance workers. I mean, it's just, I can't begin to describe the chaos. There you can see, we've got NHS consultants walking out. And the NHS this winter, we know, is going to be overwhelmed. So we can only be assured that getting any kind of treatment this winter, or searching for treatment should you need it or want it, is going to be impossible. But meanwhile, while all of that's going on, we can see that the NHS hospital trusts are paying hundreds of millions of pounds in interest to private firms. They spent 2.3 billion on legacy PFI projects in 2021, of which just under 1 billion went on costs for essential services such as cleaning and maintenance. I mean, this is absolutely, I've got no words. You know, clearly we can see that the NHS, as we knew it, as a public service, has gone, and by stealth, it's been privatised, gentlemen. And that's exactly what's happened to it. It's now private.
Well, it's not only private, Debbie, it's also virtual. And a little bit later in today's UK column news, we will just show our viewers and listeners what we're talking about there. It has been made a virtual service provision.